Okay, hi everyone, this is Miss Arifa again, and today I'm going to talk about the last material or the last step of curriculum design. So we go full circle from the first video that I made about curriculum design overview, and we are going to talk about the last part, which is the evaluation. So what is actually the evaluation? So evaluation is basically a process or something that is done to decide whether a course is a success or not really a success and needs some improvement, or even needs to be discontinued if necessary. And what is like the best evaluation that can be done? Well, the best possible evaluation is the broadest evaluation. This can mean that the evaluation is very large and includes all aspects in the curriculum. This is the best kind of evaluation, but of course, because it can be very complex, so mostly evaluation is not done in this type, and mostly it has narrow focus. What is the meaning of narrow focus? If the evaluation is narrow focus, that means that the evaluation is only done to several aspects of the curriculum. That means there will be list of questions that will be answered during the evaluations. Why do you need the questions? Because evaluation is basically research. This is like research, and when you do research, when you conduct research, you have to have research questions. And so that's what happened when you do evaluation. You need a list of questions, and this evaluation is done to answer those questions, which in the end you will have the summary of what to do with the course, whether you want to discontinue it, you want to continue it, or you just want to improve some aspects. Okay, now we are going to talk about the steps of evaluation that is proposed by Nation and Macalister in 2010. We have several steps here, and I'm going to discuss not one by one, but some of them are in unison. Okay, the first one is the discover and the purpose and type of evaluation, and then assess the time and money needed, decide what kinds of information to gather, gain the support of the people involved in the evaluation, because evaluation will involve many parties, many people, and gather the information, present the findings, apply what has been learned from the evaluation, and do a follow-up on the evaluation. Alright, so the first part of evaluation is included in preparation. Preparation involves the three first steps that needs to be done based on Nation and Macalister. The first three steps are to discover the purpose and type of evaluation, assess the time and money needed, and decide what kind of information to gather. How is this done? So first, when you do an evaluation, you need to know first whom the evaluation is for and what information that they value. This will be useful to understand whether you have to keep the data confidential or only certain people can see the data, not for public. You have to keep it a secret and just inform to certain parties. And you also this is also very important to know, because this will decide the type of information that you need to gather. And if the data provider will give the data willingly or not, because sometimes evaluation can be sensitive to some people, so you have to be really careful about this. For example, if the head of department, for example, want to do evaluation on the teacher quality, for example, then that information will be most likely confidential between the head of department, the evaluator, and also the teacher, and it will not be available for public. The learners will not be able to see that. Okay, you also, to do these steps, you also need to know why the evaluation is done. Is it done to delete a course or just to improve it? Is there any hidden agenda or politics behind it? Because this will also influence whether you want to evaluate or not, because you don't want to be in the mix of something that you don't want to be in. Okay, And then you need to know whether you are going to do a formative or summative evaluation. This will decide the type of data and how you will collect the data, because formative assessment and not assessment, evaluation is different from summative evaluation in a way that it has different goal, it has different data gathering, and the report or the presentation will also be different, because summative is done during the lessons in the middle of the process of the course, and formative is more like to conclude or to judge whether a course is effective or not. Here you can see a table that you will see a table of the difference between formative and summative evaluation. And then you also need to decide if it's short-term or long-term. You need to understand whether it's short-term or long-term, because some data cannot be used for long-term or cannot be used for short-term. For example, if you want to understand, evaluate the teacher quality, you cannot do that for short-term. You cannot just observe a teacher teaching once or twice, and then decide whether the teacher is qualified or not, because it's a process of. It can be when you observe twice, the teacher is sick or the teacher is nervous, and then you get more negative data than the positive data, so it's not going to be valid. So this is a type of evaluation that probably needs a long-term evaluation. Okay, and then the next one is you need to determine if the evaluation is going to need a cognitive or affective or resource factor. Cognitive factor is related to the knowledge. For example, the knowledge of the learners in the end of the class, what kind of language proficiency that they gain, or what kind of language that they can produce. So it has something to do with the cognitive factors. And affective factors is related to feelings. For example, the student's motivation, whether the student is satisfied with the course, or they like with the course, or they're disappointed with the system and stuff like that. And resource factors have something to do with everything that become the facilitator of the teaching and learning process. For example, the cost, the facilities, probably the time. You also need to know these things, in the preparation. You also need to do all of this preparation, because then you can decide, before you do the evaluation, you can decide whether the evaluation is going to be costly. Okay, you can decide the cost, whether it's going to be very expensive or not, because you need to inform this to the person who asked you to evaluate, and then whether it's going to be time consuming, and also whether you want to evaluate, you yourself as evaluator, to decide whether you want to do this or not. So preparation is really important in order to do effective evaluation. Okay, the next step is, the fourth step is to gain the support of the people involved. We need to understand that when you do evaluation, we will involve many people, not only one party, but many people. So it is very necessary that these people, the source of information, feel that the evaluation is worthy, and that it's not going to threaten their career, their job security, and it's not going to embarrass them, because probably some information is sensitive. This can be done by making it really clear in the beginning. You need to meet the sources, the people that will give you information, and explain to them the purpose very clearly, the purpose of the evaluation. And for example, if you involve staffs or teachers and they're not willing to give you information, you can involve respected people, so they will influence the decision of the source to give you information. And this can also be done, the safety or for the sources can also be done by involving a large number of people, a large number of parties, because if you involve a large number of people, then they will have the feeling of shared responsibility, that not only one person is responsible for the evaluation, but a lot of people. So you don't feel too much pressure to give the source for this evaluation. Okay, well, you need to understand that a properly conducted evaluation will convince staffs that it is necessary and worthy to improve the course. So you have to convince all the people involved that the evaluation is well planned, well prepared, and in the end there is a result that is going to be beneficial for everyone. The first one is the interview. Okay, the interview is one of the commonly used source of information or data gathering. This can be done in individual, or this can be done in group, and this can be structured or unstructured. Structured means that you already have a list of questions to be asked to the respondents, or unstructured because you just want to find something new. So you don't really have any list of questions, you just go with the flow. This really depends on the interviewee and also the interviewer, which type of data that you need. Okay, if the interview is in large scale, or you interview a lot of people, then you probably are going to need some quantitative data from the interview, so you can make some kind of summary of the interview. Okay. Another way of collecting data is the self-report scale. This is in the form of a questionnaire to see the respondent, and usually the respondent will rate agree, disagree, stuff like that, and they have to rate some aspects. So you will have a quantitative data that is going to give you benefit if the data is in a large scale and a large number of respondents, and you will have the summary of the data and you'll have clear focus. So these are the benefit of using questionnaires. Another way, so this is the third way. I mentioned two, but it's actually more than two. Now we are going to talk about observation and checklist. So observation is basically done when you come to the place, or you look at the things that you want to look at, for example the syllabus, and you come to the class and you observe the teaching and learning. And this can also be in the form of structured and unstructured. If it's unstructured, you just come there and then you have no idea what you are going to look for. You just want to see, okay, what's going on and what needs to be paid attention to. But it can also be, observation can also be structured, meaning that you're going to have checklists. But checklist is really important to be made with a well thought process. It has to, you have to do research. You have to really understand what is trying to be evaluated here. And observation checklist also cannot be too long, but it also cannot be too short, because if it's too long, it's going to be confusing and not focused. And if it's too short, then not enough information can be used for the evaluation. Checklists can be beneficial, but it can also be disadvantages. The disadvantages is that sometimes when observer or evaluator has checklists, they are blind to other issues. They just focus on, say for example, there are 8 checklists. They only focus on these 8, and if there is a problem outside this 8 list, they cannot see it because they only focus on this 8. Okay, that's one disadvantage of using checklists. And also, checklists can be outdated, so it's really important to update the theory, update what is new, because if it's outdated, then it's not going to be valid anymore. And also checklists can be how do I say it? People can assume that the result of checklist represents the whole situation. Well, in reality, checklists only represent certain parts of area that is observed. Okay, but checklists can also be useful in a way that it is systematic. Okay, in covering what is important, so you don't miss any point that you want to observe. And it allows you to compare between different courses, lessons, and teachers in an easy way, because you have the same data, so you can compare them. And also they can be the basis of improvement for formative evaluation, because you have like clear data, and this can give you the idea whether the course is effective or not. But you need to remember that data gathering are not only done by three ways. Actually, Nation and Macalister also give some examples, a list of things to gather the information. For example, this one is for teaching and learning. As you can see here, the data gathering is not only done by observation, interview, and also checklist, but we can also see here teacher diaries can also be used. Study reports can also be used. The students' achievement tests, enrollment statistics, analysis of the syllabus. There are a lot of ways to gather data, and it really depends on what kind of information needed. Another example is data gathering for teaching environment. Here you can also see enrollment statistic, quality of staff publication. That also can be data. And then interviewing other institutions. And handbooks, study of handbooks, memos, So there are many ways to gather data, but the most used one are observation, interviews, and also questionnaire. Okay, the last three steps of evaluations that we have here, I'm going to talk about these three together as one, is to present the findings and then apply what has been learned from the evaluation and do follow-up evaluation. Okay, this can be done by first consider the ethical issues. When you give report, remember you have to consider ethical issues. For example, you have to consider confidentiality, like the example that I gave you before. If the information, the evaluation is to teacher quality, then this information should be confidential only for the head of the department or institution, and also for the teacher. You cannot share this information to other people, for example the other stakeholders, students, parents, because this will be threatening for the teachers. And you also have to consider the feelings of others. Remember that evaluation can be sensitive, as I told you previously, because it usually try to find weaknesses. Okay, in the report, usually there are two types of reports. The first one is written and the other one is oral. Written reports are usually doubled. There are some backup files because some parties need the written reports, although very specific parties and very specific people that needs that information. And it can also be done in oral report. The function of oral report is to make sure that the written report is understood. So I don't know, maybe the example of oral report on evaluation is when people have regular meeting, weekly meeting or yearly meeting in a department where all the evaluation are shared to staff and teachers. Okay, well, report cannot, evaluation cannot be just an evaluation. You get a report and then done. Evaluation is used, in the beginning we have discussed that evaluation is used to determine whether a course is successful or not. So that means after you do evaluation, you cannot just stop there. At least that's the ideal way of evaluating. So after the evaluation, there should be a follow-up. Yeah, a follow-up on the weaknesses that is found. This is used to monitor the effects of the evaluation. Because in the end, evaluations must be used to improve a course, even when the effect is not so big. But this will make the evaluation is worthy, and if it's costly, then the money is not wasted. Okay, so basically those are the steps of doing evaluation, and some important information about evaluation. In a nutshell, we need to take notes here that a good evaluation will be essential to improve the course and repair the weakness. That's why it's really important to do evaluation that is well planned and well thought of, because this can also be the source of teacher professional development, which in the end will be the course development and even institution development. Okay, that's all about evaluation. I hope you learned something. I hope you take notes, and well, I hope that you learn a lot about curriculum design, only in a nutshell. Of course, it's not in detail, and if you have some questions, you can pop the questions in the comment section. And see you when I see you, and thank you for your attention. Bye.